Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So if you've been following me on my DIY videos recently, I installed a mini split for my garage a couple months back. So today what I'm going to do is insulate the garage doors behind me so that way we can keep the cool in here during the summer, and during the winter we can keep the heat in the garage. So stay tuned. So today what we're going to be installing is this 8x4 foam board that I bought down at Home Depot. While down there, I also picked up some of this reflective bubble wrap radiant barrier to add on to the installation. So for the regular double car garage and then a single door I have over here, I ended up needing 6 sheets of these 8x4. These sheets right here are about 1 inch thick, and when I add this on here, it adds about another 1/4 inch, which is exactly what those garage door kits that you could buy pre-cut come in. They're basically 1 1/4 inches. Ideally, you would need 1.5 inches to fill the gap on here. Here in Florida, they sell the 1 inch thick one, and then after that is the 2 inch. They don't have anything in between. So I had to settle for this combination to fill the gap. All the material I bought here to do these 2 doors ended up costing about $180 plus tax, which is exactly what buying the kits would have cost me that are pre-cut already, except those kits only come with the regular white foam. They don't have the radiant barrier like we're gonna have here. So how we're gonna be installing it today, since I live in Florida, I wanted to create kind of a radiant barrier. Once I put it on here, there's a small air gap because of the texture in the door. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the reflective side, which is this side over here, as you can see over here, I'm gonna put it against the garage door to create that kind of air gap and do a radiant barrier so it can actually reflect some of the heat off of the board. The foam itself will act as an insulation. In addition, when I put this bubble wrap on the back side, that will also create kind of a radiant barrier to keep the heat on the inside of the garage during the winter time. The foam will be doing most of the work, but the radiant barrier and the reflectiveness will do a little bit more during the summer to reflect some of the heat back onto the metal door and out. The key really to insulate a garage door though is to fill all the gaps. You gotta make sure the foam fills all these steel gaps right here where the air and the heat will come through and convect through. The other convection will just go into this board, and this board will actually hold the heat into the insulation here. If you guys are in northern climate where you actually want to keep the heat in your garage during the winter time, you probably want to install the reflective end here on the inside, so that way the heat on the inside reflects off of there and it stays in the space and it keeps the cold out on the backside. As an FYI, when I bought these, I actually ordered them on HomeDepot.com for store pickup and curbside pickup just because I was by myself and I really didn't want to lug 6 of these boards through the store by myself, even on one of those cart things. So the guys actually took it out to my van, and I took the risk of trying to fit it into my van, knowing that it should fit an 8x4 board in there. I didn't take any of the seats out, and I was able to fit 6 of these above my seat, pushed it through the top, but it covered over my head and everything, but it got into the car. So to install these, it's gonna be pretty easy. I just gotta measure all these things, make sure I cut it perfectly in a straight line, and just wedge it into each one of these squares or rectangles. So one thing in Florida here, we have these supports here required for each panel due to hurricane code. But the good thing for these installations is it's gonna act as a retainer to keep these boards onto the panel without falling out. Up north, I don't think it's required to have these, so your garage door might just be the solid steel back here without these supports. So in order to install it on those, you probably have to wedge it in there, either glue it or somehow keep it in there so it doesn't fall out, especially when you operate your door all the time. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and just remove some of these things and start cutting and installing it on all these panels. So we got about 98, 99 degrees on the uninsulated side. Then we go into the insulated side and we got 75. So that's like a 24, 25 degree delta between the uninsulated and the insulated side. That's just the top panel insulated right now with the sun directly on the door. right, so we got 2 panels done already, and it did take a little bit of time, especially around here where these bolts are. Like this whole thing had to come apart when I took that rail out, so you need to put that back in just to kind of hold it. And then right here, you have these hinges that need to kind of come out or at least move a little bit so you can tuck the foam and the radiant barrier under there so you could get it to fit and everything's to slide over here. Up top, I already put the rail back in there and everything's holding nicely up there. I'm gonna go ahead and put all this rail back here and continue on with the rest of this. So overall, the big door wasn't that hard to get together. The pain in the ass part is the middle section of my door is separated in 2, so I had to cut that in half and then fit those all in there. On the single car door, it was much easier because of those 4-foot wide panels kind of fit in there. I had to trim about an inch and a half off of each side to kind of fit in here because it's 47 inches from end to end on here versus 48 like on the big doors and on the standard board that comes here. Other than that, the only other thing that was kind of hard was getting all the panels and getting this radiant barrier behind the screws that are left behind, like up here, that aren't removed when we take out this bars. But that's really no big deal. I just put one of those putty knives in there or like a shim and just squeeze it in there. Hey guys, thanks for watching all the way to the end of this video. If you found it useful in doing your own project, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to your channel already, go ahead and subscribe to your channel, turn on the notifications to see every time I upload a video. Remember, for all these different DIY projects, whether it's on the car, on the house, or in the garage, if I can do it, you guys can do it. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys next time.